Fire them up. That's what we do on the Andrew Gosser Show. We fire them up on 1039 WYAB, where we're streaming on Rumble. We're streaming on X. We're streaming on YouTube. No one cares about Facebook. And we're streaming at the mothership that is WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch of a signal that is 1039 WYAB, help us grow the station. Help us build our subscribership. We would appreciate that. Like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on X at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. That's where you can follow me on X. If you want to be part of the program today, I think some of you may. 601 879 0002. Text line is open at 601 879 5060. And the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? You are the saints. I planted it, Apollos watered it, but it's God that gives the increase, ladies and gentlemen. And, I'm sitting here doing my show prep last night and this morning, and I listened to a little bit of Clay, listened to a little bit of Mike, and I just sit there and wondering, is there any good news out there? Is there any good news out there? And the answer is yes, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, there is some good news out there. You have to look for it. You have to search for it. Because if you want to listen to the mainstream media, you're gonna be on some antidepressants ASAPly. I sit there and I think about some of my friends who just sit there and mainline IV this propaganda into their veins. And we sit there and we don't focus on the things that are important. When Brother Rick came in this past Tuesday and he was talking about the Mandela effect, we're going to have another story on the Mandela effect later on. And in the second hour, we're going to have some really great news. I have got the solution for the unemployment problem that we've got in Jackson, Mississippi. I've got the solution. I know I do. And Magnolia Tribune is reporting some more good information that we're going to get to in the second hour. But there's really only one place to start, ladies and gentlemen. There's only one place to start. Gunther Eagleman on X has this picture of Senator John Thune with the price tag of $1.58 million. And I told you, ladies and gentlemen, on this radio station and on this program that Fire John Thune, primaryjohnthune.org.com, if somebody was going to do it, and somebody has, and I've retweeted it already. It's a picture of John Thune, and he's been paid $1.58 million by a cheap labor lobby for bankrolling amnesty, while the SAVE Act stalls and dilly-dathers in the Senate. And I'm not here to bash on Republicans. I'm here to kind of say to my leadership, why are we specialists in pulling defeat out of the jaws of victory? Why do we continually self-inflict wounds upon ourselves? And, the party's kind of getting tired of you talk about the Save America Act. I realize that the elected politicians might be, and the fundraisers might be, but the people aren't. And we are looking for action on this. If you want to go believe the Citizen Free Press, I go there daily. Not that I trust everything that they say, but it points me in the right directions where I can go do my own research, my own due diligence. Billboards in Mexico advertising birthright citizenship tourism, $4,000. They'll get you into America. They'll get you into a hospital room. You'll have your baby. You'll get your Trump account. Yeah, I know. Texter texted me about the last hour talking about the Trump Act, Trump savings plan, and how it's being attacked and ridiculed. Never mind, it's being funded by private donations. We read them. We read them online yesterday. We read them on the show. It's not that big of a deal. but let's not get distracted here. Immigration is arguably one of the top issues in the United States of America right now. Positive feelings about immigration are crashing through the floor. I can sit there and I've built an algorithm, a feed for all violent crime either committed by an illegal alien or a suspected illegal alien. And it's out there, ladies and gentlemen. You have someone fleeing ICE officers. And you heard ABC News with their new spin, their new twist on things. It's downright brutal, ladies and gentlemen, what they're doing. And how the Republicans can take an 80-20 issue where 83 to 86% of Republicans want this done, 76% of Democrats want this done, and we don't have the votes to do it. Well, Scott Pressler, who is a grassroots activist, door-to-door mastermind, arguably the reason that we got Trump elected back in 24 in Pennsylvania, he's come out on Fox and he's got a 1-30-second segment on this. And I want to play it for you because this is information, education, and entertainment, people. I know why you tune in. You want to be informed, you want to be entertained, you want to be educated. And that's what we do here.
The opportunity to bring the Save America Act to the Senate floor for debate and allow any senators that are opposed to said legislation to tell the American people why they're against what 83% of Americans support. And that is, quote unquote, the talking filibuster. And so right now, we don't even have to nuke it. We have 50 senators that have announced support for the Save America Act. Bring it to the Senate floor for debate and discussion.
So let's tease this out. The standing filibuster.
We've got 50 senators. We don't need Mitch McConnell. We don't need not Susan Collins. We don't need Lisa Murkowski. We don't need that guy from North Kakalaki. And we don't need Susan Collins, although she said she would vote for it. We've got President J.D. Vance on there who would cast the tie-breaking vote, and that is if John Fetterman voted against this, which I don't think he would. We might get to a point where you wouldn't even need the vice president. But we've got this figured out. And why is it that our elected political officials, not just in Washington, D.C., not just in Mississippi, but around all of the United States, get this. You've got Senator Scott from Florida, Senator Lee from Utah talking about it. Every once in a while, you'll hear about it from another senator, but there's no push on this. Is it because we in the vocal grassroots activist movement want it and the rest of the country doesn't want it? Is it because the polls are lying? Is it because 86% of America doesn't want this? Or 86% of Republicans don't want this? Because 76% of Democrats don't want this? Is that a lie? What's going on here? We're supposed to be a representative republic, not bought and paid for.
It's a clever idea because what it would force Democrats to do, it would force Chuck Schumer, it would force Cory Booker to stand on the Senate floor for hours and explain why they disagree with 84% of the American public. I believe we have that poll. We'll pull it up while you.
We got a phone call. Let's go ahead and take it. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, Andrew, for everybody who doesn't know, why don't you explain briefly everything that's in the Save America Act? I'm with you on this, and I can say 80% of Americans plus are with you. Explain to everybody, just those who don't know, what, and is there anything in the act that prevents some people from not wishing to see it passed? And then finally this, I think there's probably one important political donor group who does not want the Save America Act. And the truth is, if you pay enough money, if you have enough money, you can pretty much stop what you want stopped, and you can get past what you want passed. but explain it briefly to the listeners, if you don't mind, if you haven't already done so, and keep up the fight. Okay, thank you. All right,
I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yep. Save America Act. We've talked about it before, but let's talk about it again. The Save America Act requires that you be a U.S. citizen to vote in an election. The Save America Act states that you need to provide an active and valid ID to prove who you are, that you are a U.S. citizen. The Save America Act would shut down mail-in balloting harvesting initiatives. This would not get rid of mail-in balloting for those who are sick, the elderly, those who are on business, who are stationed overseas, the United States military. No one's not getting their right to vote. There's some of these people out there, like Senator Tammy Duckworth, saying that married women who have changed their names would not be allowed to vote. That is a complete and abject lie. Those are lies coming from the lips of her mouth. Where's your duty, honor, and country, ma'am? It's infuriating to me. As someone who has worked the polls, we've had these issues come up in the past. You cast a provisional ballot and it gets counted. But not only that, if you're married, you have a marriage license on hand. It's as simple as going to the clerk and spending some time in line, which I realize people don't have, to get your last name changed and get a new ID card from the DMV. That takes time too. But those are costs of doing business, of getting married. Some people change their names back. That's why we have the provisional ballot. And poll workers, election workers, are trained to handle this kind of situation. No one's being denied their right to vote. We're just saying we want Americans to vote because there's a group of us out there, both Democrat and Republican, who believe that only Americans should vote in American elections. And what you're seeing from this Supreme Court with the birthright citizenship is opening the floodgates to the Treasury of the United States of America. And the Treasury runs deep, ladies and gentlemen. It's a lot deeper than the national debt. It's a lot deeper than you think it is. Trust me on that. But it's not infinite. And if we don't start taking corrective measures to protect our citizenship, our birthright, our way of life, we're going to lose it. And I've got so much more to say on the Save America Act, but I want to finish this from Scott Pressler real quick. Let's go a little bit long in this segment here.
Answer.
Amen. You're going to have Spartacus Cory Booker have to tell 76% of Black Americans that he is against photo ID, which they support. He's going to have to tell 82% of Latino Americans why he is against photo voter ID. Like you just mentioned, this is an 80-20 issue. When have Americans ever agreed 83% on something?
Let me answer this one for Chris. We haven't. I can't think of an issue where you've had over 80% of the American people agree on anything. And we've got it now. And we just got to call a spade a spade. We got to call it like we see it. The Republicans dropping the ball in the Senate.
Something, this would be a slam dunk for the American people. And actually, I argue that more people would vote in our elections, Kaylee, because they would finally have confidence that their votes are going to count this November.
So, Senator.
That's a good point, Scott Pressler. More people would feel inclined to vote because their vote actually matters when they know that the Democratic mail-in machine isn't going to ostracize their vote and make their vote moot. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. I see you in the chat. I've got the poll pulled up. We'll talk about it on the other side of the break. I hear you, Kevin. Yes, I absolutely dig it. New bumper music on the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. Text coming in talking about how they're over the Save America Act. Other people asking, like in the chat. It's a great way to stay involved. Where is this statistic coming from for our argument in the future? This is coming from Brother Kevin in the chat. This is coming from a Harris X poll. And if you follow me on X, it's just at Andrew Gosser, ANDREW GASSER. You can link to that poll and go through the poll yourself. But I've got the highlights of it right here. 71% support the Save America Act overall, including 69% of independents and 50% of all Democrats. 81% favor voter ID requirements, 79% independents, 70% Democrats. 75% support proof of citizenship to vote. 80% want states to purge non-citizens from rolls. 60% use common sense way to stop fraud. 85% agree on U.S. citizens only should vote. And those are where all those statistics are coming from. So when you ever hear Fox News quoting it or me quoting it, it's Harris X. And we have to stick together on this. We have to go ahead and get the Save America Act through. Our representative republic is dying, like our founding fathers thought it could, if we don't stand up and fight for the republic. I'm not sitting here saying taking up arms and marching down Jackson, down Woodrow Wilson Boulevard, going getting medieval. Nope. I'm saying we need to hold our legislators accountable at the ballot box and make their lives understand that, hey, you're sitting there slow rolling the Save America Act. It's hurting me. It's hurting me personally as a farmer because my labor is more expensive than an illegal immigrant's labor. It just is what it is. But someone asked for the link to the Save America Act poll. There it is. Let's take another phone call. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, on the Save America Act, for some strange reason, if this is so popular, then why don't the Republicans just use the old nuclear option and get it done? If you're saying that the American public really wants the Save America Act.
Well, John, thank you for calling. And if you go to firethune.com, which somebody has put in favor, you would have 1.58 million reasons why John Thune won't let it come to a vote. And what's happening now is that people who are conservative, who are Republican, I think we've even talked on this subject before, but we're starting to figure out why won't our government do it? And the votes are there. I actually think we don't even need the vice president's vote in the Senate to do it. I think John Fetterman would vote for the Save America Act. This is some common sense legislation in my opinion, and by all the wording of it that I've read, and I've read 2 or 3 different versions of the Save America Act, it's just because senators are too afraid to vote. And I could go ahead.
I have one other question.
Yep.
The mail-in in the Save America Act, is there some type of requirement for mail-in voting to be abolished nationally?
No, it actually preserves mail-in voting for very specific instances. For instance,
No. I mean, like California. Let's just say like California. Would it abolish California's ability to institute mail-in voting?
I think it would affect California and how they mail out their ballots. I don't think it would affect U.S. citizens from obtaining a ballot through the mail if they were disabled, whether they were on business, whether they were deployed, or I mean, I think.
Okay, but again, I guess the point I'm asking is, does it infringe on California's right to still institute their existing mail-in ballot policy?
I think it. I want to say yes. I think it would absolutely go into their voter fraud scheme, and that it would.
Okay. And see that, I guess, and again, now I have to ask the second question is, well, what does the Constitution say about states' ability to control their electoral process? If you believe in states' rights, you gotta respect California's right just as well as Maine or Texas's right to their electoral process.
And
to me.
And I hear where you're going with that, and I understand states' rights are very important, and that's why we have the 14th Amendment, because some states have certain rights that other states don't give, and sometimes we think that's right, and sometimes we think that's wrong. And what I'm saying is that you've got over 80% of the United States of America think of what California is doing is wrong. I mean, do you think it was right that those candidates who were winning on election night, all of a sudden 3 weeks later are declared losers because of all these mysterious mail-in ballots coming in? I mean, come on, man.
Well, here's what I'm going to say to that. And my thing is this: show me the proof, give me the evidence. Don't give me conjecture, supposition. Give me a cogent argument with evidence. Because I can go with conjecture all day long, but give me the facts. Give me some proof.
Have you
got no evidence?
Have you not seen the investigations where they've gone to empty lots where 26 people cast votes from an empty?
Who went to jail? This is what I'm asking. Have you indicted or prosecuted anybody? If you haven't indicted or prosecuted anybody, American people are looking at you going, okay, I hear you. I hear opinions. I hear conjecture, but I see no indictments. I see no convictions. And that's my thing. If you start convicting people and telling me I got a bunch of illegal people voting in my election, or they're cheating on these mail-in ballots, and you start indicting.
What about the conviction in Hattiesburg, or not Hattiesburg, Gulfport, Mississippi, where the state of Mississippi convicted that lady of ballot harvesting?
Well, we thought her, right? So the process works. So the process.
So let me. I'm getting there. You got to follow me on this one, and I'm going to lead you a little bit. So who actually did the prosecution on that? It was the state of Mississippi, right? Would you say that the state of Mississippi's voter laws are different than the states of California's laws?
Yes.
Would you agree that the prosecutors in Mississippi are very different than the prosecutors in California?
Yes, I can believe that.
Then I think that's the answer to your question is that prosecutorial discretion is a big thing. And I think that's why we have the problem that we do, because when you're asking for convictions, dude.
Yes, but we have the FBI. We have the DOJ. And we go and prosecute. We prosecute people for algae in a pool, and we can prosecute those. We can't. You tell me the FBI can't find one voter fraud in California? You took all of these ballots out of Georgia, and we still had no indictments, no convictions yet, and you came and seized these ballots. My problem is this:
I think there have been indictments. There have been indictments, but there haven't been convictions yet. I don't know if we will get convictions. I know the FBI and John, I got to go, not because I don't enjoy talking to you, but because I'm up against the break. But if you go look in California, you will see that there have been indictments from Jaime Dillon, the civil rights attorney for the for the DOJ, on this. Now, whether or not they get convictions or not, I don't know. They did convict the lady who had registered her dog to vote.
Yeah, I heard that one. Yeah,
but
the anecdotal
they did
anecdotal stuff.
Well, that's not anecdotal. That was Orange County. That actually happened. But I don't know how if they're going to do that. And that's another question for another topic, Brother John, because we can talk about prosecutorial justice or injustice, depending on how you look at it. But brother, I got to take this break, man, and I really appreciate the dialogue. You too, man.
Have a good day.
That's Brother John. This is the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Thank you, Eric, for that. I've got one right here too. But it's just anecdotal, and it's just what the left tries to do. They try to get one case where they think they can prove it, and then they'll try to shift the whole debate. And I didn't want to bring in Jody Owens, but when you bring in the Soros elected DAs into it, you're never going to get convictions on things that conservatives want. Just like when you get a conservative, there seems to be less indictments on things that Democrats want. And that's just how the system, unfortunately, is set up. It's supposed to say that justice is blind, but unfortunately, for whatever reason, it's just not looking like that right now. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We're moving and grooving. I did want to pull up because John brought up a point, and there's been one case so far. It's Brenda Lee Brown Armstrong, May 2026, a 64-year-old woman from Marina Del Rey, also known as IKEA, a lifelong petition circulator for ballot initiatives, was federally charged with one felony count of paying individuals, including homeless people, on LA Skid Row to register people to vote. Save America Act would stop that. That's just one example, John. There's plenty of them out there. I could sit down there and refine my YouTube or my Google search and get my AI generators working on it. But it to me, it's a moot point. We know that illegal things are happening with our election system, and we know that when we allow illegal aliens to vote, things like this happen. This is coming from End Wokeness. Zorhan Mandami and the Democrat Socialists of America came out with a map of New York City and all the little countries. Surprisingly, Little Italy, Chinatown, and in Greektown were not on this list. But you know what was on this list? Little Africa, Little Albania, Little Bangladesh, Little Tibet, Little Caribbean, Little Colombia, Little Dominican, Little Ecuador, Little Egypt, Little Guyana times 2, Little Haiti, Little India, Little Manila, Little Mexico times 2, Little Odessa, Little Palestine, Little Pakistan, Little Senegal, Little Ukraine, Little Yemen. High areas of illegal immigrants now getting the goodies inside the United States of America. And of course, I will repost that on andrewgosser.com, where also I reposted the firethune.com website for those of you who want to check it out. And I encourage you all to fact check it. You need to fact check these websites that come out. It was funny because I had a website and someone tried to put out a website about me. And so we just simply fact checked it. And everybody went there, and in the first 24 hours, it was pure hell because people were asking me these questions. I'm like, well, that's not quite true. But they ended up taking it down because it was fake. So we need to fact check firethune.com. And from my searches of it, I've been satisfied with the data provided. Brother Junk saying, if the Save America Act is signed into law, then it's a federal law, right? So states can choose to follow it or not. If that's the case, what's the point? If it's federal law, then the states have to follow it. But this is what will happen, and this is why John Thune is being disingenuous, in my opinion. So this passes the House. It's passed 4 or 5 times. It's going to pass in every major piece of legislation coming out of the House until the Senate actually does something. It's going to finally pass the Senate. It's going to go hyper fast to President Trump in the Resolute desk, and he's going to sign it. And you are going to see about 16,000 lawsuits against the Save America Act. And now you're going to have a streamlined process to the Supreme Court. And while this should pass the Supreme Court, you can never take anything for granted because there's nobody in their right mind who thought birthright citizenship. I have Democrat friends who are incredibly liberal, but are a little bit more towards the middle on this immigration thing, who were absolutely floored by what happened in the Supreme Court. And people don't understand what these Democrat socialists of America are. But luckily for us, we have Libs of TikTok and DSA Watch. And listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. These are your future Democrat socialists of America who are winning Democrat primaries in places like California, places like New York, and now coming to another state, which we're going to talk about right after this.
And, we have a unique responsibility to act from the heart of empire, the belly of the beast. The most important thing that we can do is take that empire down from within.
Our role ultimately is to facilitate
Democrat
our own
Seattle.
empire's failure in ways that we can, ultimately to overthrow our own empire.
That was Seattle and LA. This is DSA San Francisco, and I think this is a man who is pretending to be a woman.
U.S. imperialism is not a thing that can be reformed away. It has to be overthrown through revolutionary struggle.
And this is another man who's pretending to be a woman from Portland.
Build a mass movement that can use the leverage of workers to hit the kill switch on American imperialism here within the American empire.
And that came out from DSA Watch, but from Canary Mission. I've never heard of Canary Mission before. And the lawyers are starting to jump in. And I want to read this because I am not an attorney. I was going to go to school to be an attorney and decided very much with great haste and without a lot of thought that it would be much better for me to fly in the United States Air Force than to go to law school at Southern Illinois School of Law, where Ruth Gator Ginsburg often held a moot court, which was really cool. There's a huge difference between registering to vote because someone is getting paid to get them to register and them actually voting, because receipts of charges of them actually voting. So far, there's been more evidence of Republican fraud than Democrats. I'm a Republican. That's just the facts. Well, John, you're going to have to go ahead and show me those facts, because we've got Democrats committing fraud. We've got Republicans committing fraud. And you bring that up, John, or maybe it's Joe. I'm sorry. I'm far back from a little bit back, but in Florida, there were a bunch of Republicans who have just been indicted. But again, getting back to John's point, it wasn't the DA from inside the county that did it. It was a DA from outside the county that did it for making a fake voter guide. And that's not really voter fraud. That's more like electioneering, I think. But it's out there. And this problem is not Democrat versus Republican so much per se as it is voting, being an American to vote. It's not even debatable, because everywhere where we have mail-in voting, you look at 2016, you look at 2020, you look at 2024, everywhere that there's mail-in balloting, the Republican is in the lead. And every time the mail-in vote comes in, guess what? It mysteriously is just enough. I mean, if you look at it, President Biden was our president by less than 400,000 votes across 4 states. It was very small. And you look at and we've seen the graphs. I'm not going to look it up now, but we've seen the graphs where all of a sudden the mail-in vote comes in and it spikes 100%. Like this LA, just happened in LA, 2026 mayoral vote. That guy Pratt, he was firmly in second place. The mail-in votes came in 100% for the third place candidate. 100%. They ran AI to do statistical analysis on it. You had a better chance of winning the Powerball than taking the proceeds from that, taking buying one ticket from that Powerball winning, buying a Mega Million ticket and winning that too. It's just statistically impossible for what's happening. And we can sit here and hem and haw around the edges about, oh, well, I don't know if I want to do. We've got an illegal immigration issue. Some people like myself would call it an invasion, and we want to keep America the way it was. It's not to say that some things don't need to change, but you've got to be an American to vote here. You should be American to register to vote here. And I'm not even sure. We're not even sure if registering people to vote and paying them money, that's against the law in California. Even in the state court, not the federal court, but the state court, it's illegal to pay people to register to vote. And then all of a sudden, you've had what happened in Arizona, which Charlie Kirk so diligently documented, how they were checking signatures and they weren't matching, but they said they were matching anyway. We've got bigger problems than that. But again, this gets back to something that I said a couple of weeks ago, and then Mike Madison said today: a high trust society. I think something that John and I, Vince, Dan, Brother Rick, we all agree on is that the high trust society right now in America is next to non-existent. We don't have a lot of trust for each other. And the election booth is it's like the one place where I genuinely feel every time that I go to it that it is a place where decorum and process and tradition and honor is respected, is in the polling location. At least the ones I've been to. Well, here's the thing. If there's a state law, Brother Kevin, that says, you can't pay people to register to vote, and there's a federal law on it too, the feds can always come in and prosecute it if the state won't. And I think that's what's happening in California. And again, I don't want to get into that necessarily because it comes down to a district attorney decision, a DA, or even attorney general decision, whether or not it's going to be a priority. Because attorney generals and DAs have the ultimate prosecutorial authority on all of that. They can just say, I want to prosecute this today, and they'll go out and prosecute it. And there are plenty of examples I could give, especially from my former state of Illinois, where if you knew the prosecutor and you needed a hookup, you could get it. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Thank you, Brother Kevin. Appreciate it. I appreciate the chat input today. It's really awesome. Good morning. Good morning. I know some people don't like John, but at least he doesn't yell or scream, and you can have a dialogue with him. And I think it's a great example for those of us who are in the middle, can see exactly what he's arguing for. I think it works out great. I appreciate it. Hey, if you all could like the stream and share it with a friend, a neighbor, share it with a family member, share it with a Democrat, that'd be awesome. Yeah, we're going to talk about Bonnie Tyler passing away and the cure for Jackson, Mississippi's employment problem. I got the solution for it. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. It's a great Thursday. It's a great Thursday. The show's been lit. I appreciate the calls. I appreciate the chats. But we got to talk about this. We've got to talk about this because we lost a good one today. We lost a good one. Make sure that YouTube doesn't do anything silly to me. But we all know this one. You're a kid growing up in the 80s. You knew this one. If you ever watched Shrek, you knew it there too. Sad news, ladies and gentlemen. Sad news, ladies and gentlemen. Miss Bonnie Tyler has died. Circulating on X now, going through the news wire. Bonnie Tyler holding out for a hero. Total eclipse of the heart fame. Total G when it came to music growing up. I had her cassette. And it's one of the great things about growing old, but it's one of the bad things about growing old too, is that some of your childhood memories, people start passing, start moving on. And it's definitely sad to hear that. And she's got iconic voice, iconic music. My sister will be devastated. She would just listen to those songs over and over again. And I'm sure we all have other artists that we're going to lose, and we've mourned in the past. Clay is more on the music scene than me, but every once in a while, a big one comes through. And we got to talk about it. Coming up in the next hour, ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited because I believe I've got a solution that will work 100%. 100% for the times that it's tried. Well, maybe not 100%, but let's go 90%. For the people out there who in Jackson want to get a job where they're going to make six figures after 4 to 5 years, where they're going to be able to get out of the rat race. We found that solution. And there's a lot of good data coming in about Mississippi, ladies and gentlemen, that I don't think is being accurately reported on by the Mississippi Today or the Mississippi Free Press or for the mainstream media for that matter. And it's kind of sad because good news for Mississippi is good news for all of us. The rising tide raises all boats, and I think that's where we need to get to. I'm excited for it. I know that I spent a good part of the hour talking about the Save America Act, and I'm sure I'll do it again in future shows. But I feel that's my hill to die on. It might not be your hill to die on, but it is mine. And if we can't even secure our own elections inside the United States of America, especially where a state like California can completely wipe out anything that's good for Mississippi, you're in trouble. And we didn't even talk about the DAs or the 17th Amendment, which so few people know about. I mean, that's a whole show right there. The 17th Amendment and what that did to the course of America. I actually took a course on that back in the day with Paul Sirwaka. We went on what we call a freedom drive. And it was like a 4-hour course on what the 17th Amendment did to the United States of America. And if you don't know, hopefully I've teased you enough to go and look at it. So that's what we're going to do next hour. We're going to go hit our top of the hour break. We'll be back in about 7.5 minutes. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We will be right back.
pass.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
I went to Congress twice. Pass. I'm not even exaggerating that micro
Hey, brother Dogfish, great to see you. Awesome, Kevin. Appreciate you tuning in on the radio. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB, where we are streaming on Rumble, where we are streaming on X, where we are streaming on YouTube. Still, no one cares about Facebook. And we are streaming at the mothership that is WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch of a signal, that is 103.9 WYAB. Like, share, and subscribe to the stream. Help us grow the channel, grow the station. We'd appreciate that. I've already retweeted some of the stories that I've used in the show today. You can follow me at Andrew Gasser, AndrewGasser. Go ahead and recommend me to some friends to follow. I'd appreciate that, especially if they're in Mississippi. It's important. Look, the number if you want to be part of the program today, 601-879-0002. Text line is open at 601-879-5060. And the mission here at the Andrew Gasser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. I planted it. Apollos watered it, but it's God that gives the increase, ladies and gentlemen. And, sometimes there's news that comes out and I'm like, man, that's really great news. And I don't see anybody talking about it. And it bothers me because the news cycle is so generated on hate and anger and visceral reactions, rage bait. And humans, we're war fighting in nature. We're aggressive in nature. We really are. But we long for positive stuff, meaningful stuff. We appreciate good music. We appreciate good entertainment. We don't like the stuff that's coming out of Hollywood right now. But you know what we do like? We do like the Magnolia Tribune and Frank Corder and what he's reporting coming from today, July 9th, 2026. Report: Mississippi enjoys fourth consecutive year of positive interstate migration. Isn't this exactly what was the Mississippi Free Press or Mississippi Today, whatever the heck it was, that one that's talking about the brain drain? This flies right in the face of what they're stating. And it's not just enough to have a catchy headline. You've got to go to the data, and we're going to go through this together, and I'm going to expound upon it because I think this is the key to showing some people, not the far left lunatic Democrats, the Democrat Socialists of America, and they are here in Mississippi, by the way. Don't think that they're not. But those of us who are in the sensible middle that, hey, Mississippi's a great place to live. Research by Storage Cafe shows Mississippi recorded its fourth consecutive year of positive interstate migration, adding nearly 8,800 new residents in 2024, with net gains increasing to 68% year over year. And this just came out, so I guess they only have the 2024 numbers. The newcomers are just not passing through the Magnolia State. Nope. They're putting down roots. According to the report's author, Maria Gataya, senior real estate editor and research writer, her research shows that 54% of newcomers to the Mississippi purchase a home within the first year. And I just have anecdotal evidence. I know many people who have moved from out of state to Mississippi because it's the best place to live. I know there's a lot of people who don't think of like that, but it really is. Not only that, the report lists Alabama, Texas, and Louisiana as the top three states losing residents to Mississippi. That's good. We'll take those people. We don't want people from New York or Illinois because we don't want them to bring down those crazy politics. Now, if you're coming from New York or Illinois and you're not going to bring those crazy politics, come on down. Water's warm. For those leaving Mississippi, the research shows that 70% were renters. Thinking about that. And Mississippi is one of the cheapest places to own a home in the United States, yet it's one of the most expensive places to rent. And if you look at what's happening in certain industries right now, where you'll rent everything, you'll own nothing, and you'll be happy, that is where this society is being pushed to. And it's not good. But it is good news for Mississippi because we're growing. And the news keeps getting better, ladies and gentlemen. It keeps getting better. I can't make this up. It's got a pretty graph there. I did share this at my X account. Homes in Mississippi are on average 40% cheaper than Texas. Adding that homes in Mississippi are about 20% less expensive than Alabama and around 16% less expensive than Louisiana. Frank Corder digging into the report here, digging out the nuggets. And here's the key pull quote, because some people will say that, oh, see, people left Mississippi. People are leaving Mississippi. In all, the research details that 63,616 people moved into Mississippi in 2024, while 54,847 moved elsewhere, a net gain of 8,769 people. And then it goes into the prior year's reports. I don't want to do that. The research also shows a good portion of those people relocating to Mississippi tend to be on the younger side, which is directly opposite of what the libs and the Democrats in the mainstream media will tell you. They'll say, oh, the liberals or the young kids are leaving, the Gen Zers are leaving. About 28% are Gen Zers. The average age of the group is 32, well below the national average of 38.5, the report overview outlines. They are also well educated. Listen to this. 46% hold a bachelor's degree or higher, compared to just 29% of the state's current residents. So the people that are moving in are degreed. They have a higher level of education. And you would think on the surface that's a good thing. And I think to a certain extent it is. But I'm telling you this, with the information that is coming out, you might start thinking that the trades might be the way to go, ladies and gentlemen. But that's in the next segment, not this one. The report notes that for the first time on record, Gen Z is America's most mobile generation. And that's true. My kids have moved from Virginia to Oklahoma to Florida, back to Virginia to Illinois, back to Virginia to Wisconsin. They've been all over the place. And is that really a good thing if we think about it? Is it really a good thing to be so mobile? Or is it a good thing to put down roots? I'll tell you what, after my last trip to Milwaukee, I never want to go to Milwaukee ever again. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I would rather fly into Chicago O'Hare than fly into Milwaukee. I'd rather take my life into my own hands on the Blue Line train in Chicago than go back into Milwaukee. I just, man, and you know, we didn't get to talk about it in the last hour, but the DSA, their latest candidate is running out of Madison, Wisconsin. But I digress. That's where they're going to try it next. America's net migration map. Illinois and California, of course, New York are all major losers, losing hundreds of thousands, to hundreds of thousands of people. Well, Mississippi, we're a paler blue. We're not like a Florida or Arizona or a Texas. But that's okay. We don't need to be number one. I'll take number 4 every time. As far as the other parts of the U.S., the Storage Cafe research shows America's pandemic era relocation boom is officially cooling off as interstate migration slowed sharply in 2024, which is good because we all know that the Couth was a big lie. Some people would call it a dry run, mass formation psychosis, Operation Mockingbird, all the things. And we have to get beyond the fear that event caused. Well, Trump approved it. Yep. And Biden kept it going. And it just goes to show you that the deep state is real. And people who are going to fight the deep state, we need to empower them, whether they be Republicans or Democrats. Mississippi is an undiscovered country. Let's keep it that way. Texter or the person in the chat saying that way. I'll tell you what, I have purposely told people, nah, you don't want to come to Mississippi. You got to go to church on Sundays. There's nothing open. And they seriously believe me. And I sold it for all it was worth. We didn't want them here. And I fully admit that. Research added that high-cost coastal states remain on the high end of losing domestic migration, with California and New York losing nearly 400 combined residents to other states in 2024 alone. But that's okay, because all the illegal immigrants that Joe Biden and the Democrats brought into the country outweighed the people moving out. And we see examples of this all the time, where all these multi-billion-dollar corporations are leaving places like California, like New York, like Illinois, like New Jersey, and they're going to places like Texas, like Nevada, like Arizona, like Florida. Mississippi, we haven't really got any of that. I'm not sure we want any of that. Do we want any of that? Would you want a Tesla plant in Mississippi? Would you want a SpaceX factory in Mississippi? I don't think anybody would want a data center from SpaceX in Mississippi. We already got one anyways. But think about that, losing 400,000 taxpayers. And these aren't people who are on the welfare roll. Oh no, these are upper income earners. And what I really appreciate about Frank Corridor's reporting in this as we wrap up this segment is he talks about the source, Storage Cafe. Because people might be saying, Andy, you're quoting Magnolia Tribune, but where's Magnolia Tribune getting their information from? Storage Cafe is an online service used to search for storage space across the United States. Its research team produces reports using industry information related to self-storage industry and population shifts using data on demographics, migration, cost of living, and about 50 other points of data that they use, including the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, the Department of Housing, and Urban Development. So if you want to argue with these numbers, that's okay. But the data is not lying, and Mississippi is a gem. We need to keep it. We need to keep it. And we need to start worrying a little bit less about the degree on your wall. The high school diploma will work, and we need to start training people to get the jobs that are becoming available. And ladies and gentlemen, when you hear about what I'm about to go to in the next segment, Jackson, stay tuned. I promised you. You want to get a real paying job, making six figures in 5 or 6 years, 4 or 5 years, depending on how motivated you are, on how well you can process information, and how well you can work with your hands. Not afraid to get a little bit dirty. When you hear what I'm about to talk about, I'm telling you what, it's going to be big. This is the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back.
Now we got to go help people customize and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Maybe where's the golf cart?
Pass. I went to Congress. Works doesn't hear from pass. I went to Congress.
Oh, yo. Yep. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. I think it's awesome that we had Rotors Plumbing sponsoring the show. I think it's awesome that we've got people like Cowden Electric sponsoring WYAB. If you're looking for an electrical contractor, look at Marty Cowden. He's your man. Second generation electrician right here in Mississippi. Does great work. I can tell you, he figured out what was going on at the BA farm. And if he can figure out what's going on at the BA farm, ladies and gentlemen, he can figure out what's working out for you. You can go visit them at cowdenelectric.com, cowdenelectric.com, COWDEN electric.com. Thank you so much for sponsoring the show. And that leads me right into this segment right here. We all know Dirty Jobs and who Mike Rowe is. He did an interview on the Sean Ryan show. And I normally don't listen to full podcasts of Sean Ryan. It's not that I don't like Sean Ryan. It's just, it's not my total cup of tea. I'm not an operator, never was. But I do like some of the content that he produces. And he sat down with Mike Rowe. And I did not learn of Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs. I learned of Mike Rowe from that crabbing show on Discovery Channel. I can't even think of the name of it anymore. But my kids and I used to watch it. We loved watching the crab come in. But listen to this. Jackson, this is for you. You want to get out of the rat race? You want to go ahead and make something of yourself? You want to prove that you want to be something bigger than yourself? Listen to this.
I'm not coming on Saturday.
Figures YouTube would do that to me, and I was taking a professional risk by doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and just give this 1 second here. And I'm going to skip it. And here we go.
Twice to talk about the need for a national effort to reinvigorate the skilled trades. My basic argument was, look, you have to prove to this generation that you can make six figures working with your hands. You have to show them welders who are prospering, and electricians and steam fitters and pipe fitters and mechanics.
And isn't that the truth? Everybody wants to be a YouTube influencer. They want to be a TikToker. This generation is all addicted to the screens. They can't work with their hands. It's been an ongoing theme in the show, talking about how the generation rot, mind rot. But Mike Rowe is pointing something out so important here. If you showed these Generation Z kids a pathway forward, they will go down it. They will execute.
People like my granddad, who weren't cut out at all for college, but who were freaking smart and eager to apply their knowledge. Like, you've got to.
And isn't that something else that we say about Gen Z? Oh, they're not like Gen X or the boomers or the silent generation. They weren't hard workers. They are hard workers. But when they have doom and gloom shoved down their throat by ABC News on the top and bottom of every hour, it's kind of tough. Got to build that mental toughness. Jake Zwig talks about it all the time.
You got to find that kid and you have to show them this path, because that's the right path for them. And right now, look, we took shop class out of high school. It had to be the dumbest thing in the history of modern education.
And that's where I want to stop it right there. They don't even teach shop in school anymore. At Cary Grove High School, where I went, shop was a big deal. Now, I didn't go to shop. I was an electrical guy, electronics guy. I took nucleonics and chemistry. Got kicked out of chemistry. They threw me into nucleonics. Long story there. Don't have time for it. My point is that shop is critical to young men's development. And even if they don't get to shop, go into high school shop. They had work release programs, and I did work. I did factory work too my last year of high school.
Right. So we set the table in a really jacked up way. And today, we have a colossal imbalance in the workforce.
And that's where I want to stop this part of the interview right here. Colossal imbalance in the workforce. Why? Everybody's got to go to college. Everybody's got to get their degree. Nope, you just don't got to get a degree, undergrad degree. You got to get a master's. You got to get a PhD. And let's be honest, these PhDs that we're producing out of some of these universities today, you wouldn't want to wipe your behind with. That's about the value of it. These kids are hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and they can't even be a barista at a Starbucks because the mayor shut down the Starbucks in the city. Now, this is the part that I want to get to. Jackson, listen up.
The leader of some consequential industry or the CEO of a big company or some elected official who is really like ringing the alarm bell, worried about the skills gap. Blue Forge Alliance, the company that
listen
oversees
real closely
the
to
maritime
this
industrial base, I'm sure you're familiar. There are 15,000 companies who are collectively charged with delivering our submarines, our nuclear-powered subs.
Listen to this here, ladies and gentlemen. This is what absolutely changed. I mean, I was going to lead the show with this, but I decided to go a different route. But listen to this.
2 Columbia, 1 Virginia class a year. I think it's a 2+1 cadence. I might have them reversed, but it's a massive undertaking. We need 3 a year. They called. They're like, we're having a hell of a time finding welders and electricians.
So they're having a hell of a time finding welders and electricians, the people who are producing our nuclear deterrent submarines. And they're calling Mike Rowe and asking him for help. Now listen to this. This is the trigger right here.
Can you help? I said, maybe. How many do you need? 400,000.
400,000 welders?
And I got to stop it right there because Sean Ryan drops a holy shnikey, and I'm not going to get fined by the FCC or get yelled at by my station manager Matt for posting or allowing a swear word to go over the air. But they need 400,000 welders. They need 300,000 electricians. Every able black, white, brown, green, yellow, Indian, Asian person in Hinds County, male or female, could become a welder right now, and they're making 6 figures. That's the key. Trades. We're sitting here telling these kids that they got to go get these advanced degrees. Not everybody can be a doctor. You're just not cut out for it. Not everybody can be an engineer. Not everybody's cut out for it. The trades are huge. Mechanics. When we need 400,000 welders just to maintain our shipbuilding base in the United States of America. I highly recommend listening to this interview from Sean Ryan and Mike Rowe. Mike Rowe has been one of the guys who, has been an institution in my kids' life and in my parenting life with my kids. Not through Dirty Jobs, but Deadliest Catch. That's what it was. Thank you, Texter. Deadliest Catch. He goes on to talk about how he had 3 engineers he helped get through electrical journeyman school and got them hooked up. Within 5 years, they've been poached 3 times and now are making over $200,000 a year as an electrician. Think about that. Over $200,000 a year. Now you're working. You're part of that blue collar crew. And we know you're out there, blue collar crew, and we appreciate you. I know you're listening every day. You let me know. But we need more blue collar crew and less YouTube streamers. Optimus can't do those things yet. Can't go out there and be building the submarines yet. The workforce is dying for welders. They're dying for electricians. They're dying for metal workers, plumbers. They're just dying for people who are willing to work. And I think that's part of the problem that Generation X has done an absolutely horrible job of doing is passing down the value of hard work. And I'm saying that as a Gen Xer who worked his rear end off. I'm not sure. I'm sure my two oldest sons know, but I'm not sure my youngest son or my daughter know the value of hard work. And I'm just being truthful. Again, if I'm going to sit here and throw stones, I better be able to look at myself in the mirror too. Man, my oldest son Andrew working so hard. I'm so proud of him. What he's doing. He's blue collar crew. Middle son Austin, blue collar crew. Noah, senior at Marquette. Toots McCracken, getting ready to go to. Oh man, this is hard for me to say. I think she's going to go to Ole Miss. Everybody, pray for me. Pray for me. Pray for State. Pray for me. I don't. Oh, a rebel in the family. Oh, my heart. We got to go to commercial break. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. Be right back. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show on 1039 WYAB, where the phone number is 601-879-0002 if you want to be part of the program. Text line is open. I'm not reading all those hotty-toddy texts. That can go away. And in the chat, too, I see you, Rebel Ray. But it hurts my heart. It hurts my heart. It was interesting. I after the last segment, I was listening, and we have more plumbers and more electricians and more trades companies advertising with WYAB. There's a reason for that. There is demand for that. And anything that you want to do as a young man or a young woman is you want to be in a job that you know you're going to want to be in high demand for, where you're going to be able to make money for a long time. At least most people like that. Not that you're going to be with the same company, but you wanted a skill, you want to trade. For me, it was electronics. It was electricity. By the grace of God, I got a high enough score in the ASVAB, and the Navy said, yep, come fix F-14s. You're going to be a radar tech. And then it went on and do other things. And I don't have the same sharpness that I did when I was 22 or 23. I'd be lying to you all and kidding myself. But I still understand the gist of it and the hard work ethic that it instilled upon me shaped the life that I ended up having. I think people who are blue collar minded don't get overwhelmed as easily as people who are more, I don't want to say scientifical because now I'm going to get in trouble with the sweet bee, but there are people who will sit there and get not locked down in paralysis analysis. Or is it analysis paralysis? One of the two or both. And we were always able to grind through. And that work ethic is good, especially in the weather like today, where you got to take a lot of breaks. It's going to take you longer to get the job done. It's amazing to me how we have in our society trashed the trades, plumbers, electricians, pipe fitters, welders. And we've done this shift, and it's almost like, oh, and I said I was going to get to it, and I am going to get to it. It's like a Mandela effect. It's like a Mandela effect. Now, I've got to stop this after a little bit, but this is a pink-haired commie who's a Gen Xer, and people are checking in saying barber school. Yep. But here is another example of the Mandela effect, and I didn't even really, I had heard of it, but I never really knew what it was until Brother Rick did it, and here it is. I'm getting to it in the day I said I got to it, so here we go.
CERN got turned off and a new Mandela effect has loaded. And this one, I need all of my elder millennials to my boomers to gather around because we're going to talk about Bewitched. And I personally, here's my connection to it. I'm an elder millennial. I grew up watching Nick at Night. I remember the lineup: I Dream of Jeannie, Bewitched, Brady Bunch, and I Love Lucy. And I loved Bewitched. And I was obsessed with like trying to figure out how to make my nose move like she did whenever she would cast her little spells and do her magic. And turns out everything that you look up now, because someone was like, she just moves her mouth, it's not her nose anymore. And I was like, you're lying. So I went and took to the internet, looked it up, and every single video I saw, she's just moving her mouth. And that is not at all what had happened.
And it goes on there, but she starts dropping F-bombs, and I can't go ahead and do that, but I will post the video. But here's another example of the Mandela effect. Chat, texters, prove me wrong. Bewitched, did she ever move her nose? I was never a big TV guy. I was never a big movie guy. If it wasn't Star Wars, Transformers, or superheroes, I didn't watch it on the big screen. And if it wasn't Discovery Channel or WWE back in the day, or even the WWF, know your role, then I didn't really watch it. I didn't watch Bewitched. Did Bewitched wiggle her nose before she cast a spell? I know we're talking witchcraft here, but it's the Mandela effect, so it's going to be acceptable. Yes, Texter, I will go ahead and repost it on my X account so you can see it. But it just, if they can go ahead and they can wipe out Gene Simmons' his headband, or the Fruit of the Loom, Rebel Ray saying it was her nose. If they can wipe that out of all video searches using AI and computing, what are they going to be able to do once they actually get CERN turned back on? And by the way, the collector I went to was the Argonne National Laboratory in Illinois. You can go look it up. That was the one I walked around. People were asking me, and they said I didn't have the name right. It's Argonne National Laboratory. They actually did something with SpaceX later on, which I found out, which I thought was pretty cool. But if we don't even have the quantum computers going yet, we don't even have CERN doing what it needs to do, and they're being able to erase Gene Simmons and his headbands, and they're getting ready to get rid of Bewitched and her nose. What else can they erase from our history? Obviously, Gene Simmons headbands and Bewitched nose wrinkle is inconsequential to anything. But if they can do it to that, what can they do it to? Elections, history, our myths, our spirituality. I submit to you that if they can get rid of that, they can memory hold just about anything. Blue Sims checking in too. I want to read this. Hold on a second here. Yes, Elizabeth Montgomery twitched her nose, and her daughter would use her finger to move her nose to imitate her mother. See, I didn't watch these shows, but all I know is that when I see Mandela Effect now that's in my news feed. So when I get a Mandela Effect video and I can play it on the radio, something too, guys, girls, when you text me stories and stuff, if it's got cuss words in it, it's really hard for me to use. I used to take the time to like cut out all the cussing and put in Donna the Duck, and people miss Donna the Duck. Donna would have been 8 years old today if she'd still been around, but 8 years is a long time for a duck. Elvis is at 5 though. Elvis is doing good. But if they can get rid of that, what else can they get rid of? Voting rolls, important moments in history. They can change moments in history. My one unknown texter, they didn't land on the moon, and this proves it. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I think we did land on the moon. This just got sent to me. Mississippi GOP posted out 4 months till election day, fighting for our farmers, improving our infrastructure, securing our borders. Yes, yes, yes. Where's the Save America Act? Senator Hyde-Smith stands with President Trump on his agenda, not with George Soros and Jody Owens and Elizabeth Warren and their radical opponent, and like her radical opponent. Yep. Remember, George Soros gave money to Jody Owens to get him elected in Hinds County. And you know what? I realize it's going to be hard to get somebody in there who is a conservative thinker, but we need somebody who isn't funded by left-wing socialists and communists who are parading and marauding across the United States and the world for that matter. Yep. And then the last thing I want to touch on before we go to the break is this Mitch McConnell thing. And it kind of gets me back into the whole Mandela effect. Mitch McConnell didn't call the guy from CNN, or Mitch McConnell called the guy from CNN. The guy from CNN didn't call Mitch McConnell. Scott Jennings, thank you. who's to say that that wasn't 11 Labs on the other side of that? And I know I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but the conspiracy theorists are now 75-0 and 1, still waiting on the space aliens. Just search Samantha Knows Twitch on YouTube. There's plenty of videos available. So maybe the Mandela effect isn't real. But when you know what? I should have looked on YouTube and I didn't. I looked on Google. My bad. Oh, now I feel bad. And I retweeted the pink-haired lady out there already. Blue Sim, you smashed my segment, man, but I appreciate it. I'd rather be smashed and wrong than putting out bad information. But the Mandela effect is out there. We're going to take our last commercial break of the hour. We'll be right back. It's all good, Blue Sim. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody out there listening. I was looking on. I was using Google. What was I thinking? I was trusting Alphabet. Man almighty. That's what I get. It's all good. I blame Google. I blame Alphabet. I love it, man. I get such great flashbacks and memories from that song. It's a little bit different bumper music than what we're used to on the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. I didn't get a chance to go into the full article, but I did want to put it out there. This is coming from Wisconsin, Democrat. A Democrat socialist in Wisconsin tests how far left voters want to go in a battleground state. Didn't get to talk about that, but I think we can all say that we've outed the Democrat socialists enough for today. And that if you want to go further down that rabbit hole, you can. With respect to the Save America Act, again, what is the DOJ investigating? Are they more worried about illegal immigration and illegal voting? Or are they more worried about transgender rights? It's just one party prefers one over the other. I don't even have to say which party is what. You can probably pick it out. DOJ threatens criminal action against states that allow non-citizens to vote. Good, they should. And here's the thing, too. If a state allows a non-citizen to vote, then that needs to be immediately overruled and overturned, because that's going against the basic premise of the Constitution of the United States. We're United States. Our citizenship is sacred. It's precious, and we need to keep it. And of course, it's amazing to me how people are trying to twist this Save America Act into something that it's not. And we wouldn't be having the problems with ICE and illegal immigration now if we would have had a secure border, which we didn't have under President Biden. And, it's like getting that fake high, that fake quick hit, whatever it might be, and however you might do it, and then come crashing down. That's what this illegal immigration was. We got a bunch of cheap labor really quick to really inflate the economy, and now it's correcting. The last thing I wanted to talk about, and I hadn't had a chance to talk with any of my active duty friends, but was the air show over Washington, D.C. And it was a nonstop smorgasbord of American air power. But did anybody see the air show that went over New York? And I believe it was the French demonstration team that actually flew a red, white, and blue flag. I've never seen them change colors of the smoke in stream midair. You either had the red smoke, you had the blue smoke, or you had the white smoke. But technology, ladies and gentlemen, and leave it to the French to put on a good air show. It was awesome. They did a Old Glory flag, and then they had the two solos with smoke swirling around the flag. It was absolutely awesome. And we're not getting along that well with France right now, but yet they send their elite demonstration team to New York to go ahead and do an air show like that. With respect to I got a comment saying that it was a waste of money. I want to put this in your mind. Think about this. The war with Iran is kicking back up again. Could it have been that Trump was just so smart that he said, we're going to let things calm down in Iran so we can celebrate 250 with F-22s, F-16s, F-35s, that maybe should have been downrange. We're going to have them in an air show. Oh, that's irresponsible. Is it? Would Trump do something like that? Would Trump be that smart to plan that far out ahead, to have things home or have assets at home? You might say that we have an Air Force that big. I would say you're right with most airframes, but some airframes not. I was told that the airspace was incredible, that they actually shut down Reagan International for the day. They said that controlling was just an absolute nightmare, but at the same time, frighteningly fun. Take care, everybody. We'll be back in about 22 hours. Until then, take care, everybody. Be blessed. Yes, and amen.